Tonight, Tuesday, September 6th, at just a few minutes past 7 p.m. Thank you all for coming. I call to order Pledge of Allegiance. Let's stand and rise, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay, public announcements. There are vacancies on the Cultural Council, Council for Elder Affairs Alternate, Energy Committee, Recreation, and the Historical Commission. Applications for appointment are available online at www.hanson-ma.gov or in the Selectman's office. Town clerk would like to remind dog owners that all dogs over 6 months must be licensed by September 30th. Absentee ballots for Thursday, September 8th, state primary election are now available in the town clerk's office. Any registered voter who is unable to vote in person on election day due to absence from town, physical disability, or religious belief may obtain an absentee ballot. Voters may absentee vote in person at the town clerk's office or by mail. Applications for absentee ballots will be accepted at the town clerk's office until noon on Wednesday, September 7th. For more information, please call 781-293-2772. The town clerk's office will be closing at noon on Wednesday, September 7th, and will be closed all day on Thursday, September 8th for the state primary election. Please plan your business accordingly. There will be a Veterans Square dedication in honor of John Ferry on September 11th at 2 p.m. at Winter and Liberty Streets. The public is welcome to attend. Cub Scout signups will be Monday, September 12th at the Thomas Mill from 7 to 8 p.m. For more information, please contact Cub Master Pack 34 at 774-259-0901. The Hanson Business Network will meet on Wednesday, September 14th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. for a small business administration presentation geared toward current and prospective business owners regarding the essentials of becoming credit ready. This event will be held in the Board of Selectmen's room located on the first floor of the Hanson Town Hall, located at 542 Liberty Street, Hanson, Mass. A small business administration representative will be conducting the presentation and will field questions from attendees. This event is free and is open to all who wish to attend. RSVPs are appreciated so that we can be certain we have adequate materials, seating, and refreshments. Please RSVP to Laura Fitzgerald Kemet at lfitzkemmett@gmail.com. On September 22nd, Meadowbrook Restaurant will be donating 20% of all proceeds to the Hanson Food Pantry for those customers who present the Hanson Food Pantry coupon. Coupons can be found on the Hanson Food Pantry website at www.hansonfoodpantry.org/ and on Facebook at Hanson Food Pantry 2015. Please join us and help us spread the word. The Water Department also reminds residents that there's a total water ban in effect. Outside watering is prohibited. Upcoming meetings. Final PCH reuse is Wednesday, September 7th at 4 p.m. Selectmen's meeting is Tuesday, September 13th at 7 p.m. Historical Commission is Wednesday, September 14th at 7 p.m. Selectmen's meeting Tuesday, September 20th and 1 p.m. at 1 p.m. Meeting House Lane. Selectmen again on Tuesday, September 27th at 7 p.m. And that concludes our public announcements and upcoming meetings. I'd like to move directly on our next item for our agenda is the Town Administrator's Report. Mr. Mike McHugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be brief this evening. I'd like to point out that one of the meetings that you mentioned in regards to upcoming meetings, which is September the 20th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Meeting House Lane, is again the presentation of the Boston Post cane to the oldest citizen in the town of Hanson. So probably people weren't aware when he read off those sort of, those meetings, that was an odd hour. So that again is,
Tuesday,
that-
September 20th?
yeah.
That's
Since
the
it's
1 p.m.
Yeah, since it's in the afternoon, that's actually, so people know what that actually is. And hopefully, if anyone wishes to attend, it's going to be actually a very nice event, I believe. And it's in there, apparently they've got a meeting room there or a function room there, and all are invited. Again, I'm going to be short. Going to mention to the Board of Selectmen that since the Municipal Modernization Act passed a couple of weeks or so ago, I've been reviewing it in terms of how it will impact the town of Hanson. I believe that at the next meeting or the meeting after that, I'm going to make some recommendations on how we move forward on that. There's an awful lot of good stuff in there, which I think I've mentioned on several different occasions, but there are some things that we officially need to act upon as a result of that legislation. So I do anticipate asking you guys to do some things in the next couple of meetings or so, so we can take advantage of that favorable legislation. I got a call middle of last week, and it really was not conducive, that I felt, to the board, from the Lieutenant Governor's office in regards to the community compact that the board voted to sign and push forward to the state. The Lieutenant Governor was interested, again, at the last minute, in having the event to sign the actual compact with the Board of Selectmen. We actually had we had about 48 hours notice, and it just, again, wasn't going to work out with people on the board that actually have to work. So my understanding is there should be a new date given to us within that will happen before the end of September. It will be, again, a very decent, very nice event for the town of Hanson, and I'll let you know when that happens. But I wanted to at least let you know that they had reached out and tried to do something, but it wasn't going to work for the board. So, I took the prerogative of saying as much. I would actually like to ask the board, and this was a last-minute bit of information that Mary and I got today, that there is a group that wishes to donate a bench to be placed at the mill across the street, which is worth about $3,000. We do have a picture of it. It's quite beautiful. However, it was brought before the Conservation Commission, and they certainly supported it in putting it there. However, because the only board in the town of Hanson that can accept anything of any relative value is the Board of Selectmen, and the date for the installation of this bench is actually the 14th of this month, I would like to ask the Board of Selectmen to consider accepting the donation of this granite bench, again, to be placed across the street at the mill site.
I'll make a motion to that effect, that we accept the gift of the bench to be placed at the mill site.
Second.
Miller and, who seconded it?
Yes,
I did.
Mr. Howard did.
Mr. Howard, good. Thank you, Kenny.
Frank Sawyer.
Okay,
I'm assuming when they accept it's a $3,000 bench, it's gonna be cemented or secured over there.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's granite.
Oh, yeah,
And it's for Frank Sawyer and Fred Miller for the work that they've done at the mill over the years. It was donated by the family members.
And it is greatly appreciated, and it was just a miscommunication to make sure that, it is officially and legally accepted by the board that can accept it.
absolutely. I want to thank them. Thank you for the donation. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It sounds like quite a bench.
It's
You know?
done very nicely.
So motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? Further discussion? No? Let's call the vote. All those in favor of accepting? Aye, 5-0, Mary. And thanks again. Thank you.
I wish to also mention, Mr. Chairman, that we received a letter from the school committee that there will be a vote on the 14th of September, and I believe the board has been given a copy of the letter in regards to a vote to finalize a couple of the outstanding contractual agreements with the various unions with the school. My understanding is that the Board of Selectmen in Hanson voted a year or so ago that the representative for both the communities would be Frank Lyman, the town administrator from Whitman. However, they have given us the courtesy of allowing us at least a seat at the table when the vote occurs, and the last representative of the town of Hanson that went to such a meeting was the chairman. I would ask if the board is so inclined, and again, it's more of a courtesy vote than anything else, or a courtesy seat than anything else. If the board is so inclined, I'd be happy to go and represent the board. If the chairman is not available, or any of the other members of the board of selectmen are not available. Again, I don't want to say it's just a cursory thing, but the negotiations apparently have been finished within whatever legal process the board of selectmen had voted to give to Frank Lyman. I don't think it's a bad idea to have a representative there, but if there's no one, if the chairman is not able to make it, or another member of the board of selectmen is unavailable, I would go just to represent the town.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Question?
Just to, because you weren't here at the time.
Yes, I was not.
We actually went through this whole thing, and that's called a regional representative.
Mhm.
There's actually a state law that delegates that the Board of Selectmen have an opportunity to appoint one of their members, or if we want, we could appoint
Yes.
you to represent the town in anything involving
Union.
collective bargaining, okay? Be it negotiations or any discussions on how those collective bargainings are gonna take place. The school committee doesn't have to allow that person to participate in the negotiations, which they haven't. They could, but they haven't. There's some regional school districts that do allow the regional representative from each town to participate in the negotiations. But they're supposed to inform those respective Board of Selectmen of anything they have coming up that involves collective bargaining agreements with any of their four respective bargaining units. So, having said that, we had already appointed Jim the
Yes.
last time around, as you said, so I wouldn't have any problem if you want to maintain that position.
Actually, I would rather probably give it to Mike McHugh,
To Mike McHugh?
because I
And
know he's more
again, I'm
experienced.
just trying to, if the board is so inclined, I'm willing to go, and, as Selectman Young
Because
mentioned, I've been involved, in other communities where Obviously,
They've actually
they've
finished,
afforded
they've
such.
finished the contracts at this point?
apparently, yes.
Okay, those other three, because I know they
Yes.
finished the teachers
Yes.
last year.
Yes, these are
So,
the ones that were outstanding.
Did they forwarded to you a copy of what the memorandum of agreements look like?
No,
so
they
you
have
know what's
not.
in it?
No, only the letter asking for a representative
On the
from,
14th.
and again,
On the
a
14th,
courtesy
school.
representative from this
You know,
community.
The thing that I don't like about this, the whole thing, and I'll be honest with you, is that we're entitled to a representative, but just sending somebody over there on the 14th without having a chance for the board to look at the memorandum of agreement and what the changes are in those contracts defeats the whole purpose of it. And it basically creates a situation where the member of the board, in this case you, just acts as a rubber stamp to okay it.
And I don't disagree.
And so, I don't like to be rubber stamps for anything. I'd like to be able to take a look at the memorandums of agreement like we did the last time.
Since we've gone through this, Bruce,
know?
you're right, you're absolutely right, we went through this, but I've asked Mike to make sure.
You remember what we went through the last time?
Mhm.
We had a special meeting up at the regional school to discuss that whole thing.
Yes, I remember.
So it would be done right this time around, and that we would have that information prior to that. So I'm surprised to hear that we don't have that information.
Actually, I
so-
think Mike asked for it early.
Yeah, so if he could, as long as he gets a copy of that information early, when is our next meeting?
Next meeting is next Tuesday, but their meeting is Wednesday,
All right, so we could actually meet next Tuesday and be able to review those.
if he gets the stuff by that
Yeah,
time. Yeah, I would
'Cause
assume he should.
I'd feel a lot better about it if we were able to at least see what they did.
Yep.
The chances are that we're gonna be in agreement with them, but we'll at least be able to look at what their changes in those labor agreements were, and then
Discuss them
discuss
appropriately.
them with Mike and go over them.
So I did mention to Mike last year that you should probably ask for the contract itself, so that we can learn from this lesson. You're right, Mr. Young.
Yeah,
And I will tell you that the letter indicated that they're gonna send us the memorandum of changes, I think sometime before, Mike, or as soon as they
Yes.
finalize them, right?
And I guess, Mr. Chairman, and it goes to Selectman Young's comments and concerns, is my understanding is, whereas we have a voice at the table, so to speak, that, and I've seen this and been privy to, involved in other communities, we really don't have a vote per se. It's
Right.
again, almost a courtesy vote. But I've been involved, again, in towns where a member of the Board of Selectmen has participated in these, and I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but a member of the board has participated in the conversations, and at the end of the day, they really don't have officially a vote at the table. So, but I'm perfectly comfortable
Yeah, they have a
with
vote,
what.
they have a vote in ratification, they don't have a vote in the approving,
Yes.
but they have a final vote in approving the contract.
Right.
So again, I'm just putting that forward to tell the board that we received this letter. If the chairman or any of the members of the board wish to be that representative, I'm obviously comfortable with that. Just, I will do it should it not be something that any of the members of the board can do. But I will bring that to the next meeting,
Well, I thank you for offering, Mike, because
if it is made available.
I could certainly act as your backup in the event that you can't make it for whatever situation, personal situation occurs, if you'd like. But obviously, I know that you've got more experience with this collective bargaining agreements than I do, so I'm
Could you
not,
have it written in the either or?
what do you mean?
If you can't make it, you
Well,
can make it?
I think-
Certainly the board could, I believe the
You
board
know what I
could
mean?
Yeah, I
could vote
understand.
me as the primary and vote a member of this board as the alternate.
Alternate, yeah. Would that work for you guys? Unless somebody
Yeah.
else wants to be an alternate, I'm okay. Bill, if you want this, or Kenny?
I'll nominate Mike McHugh as the
Primary.
primary and you as the alternate.
Okay, so
Second.
entertain a motion to nominate Mike McHugh as primary, myself as alternate,
To be
To
the
represent
regional
the
representative, right?
municipal representative representing the town of Hanson. I think it's necessary. I appreciate Mr. Lyman's efforts, but I do think it's worth our while to make sure that we have a representative from Hanson there.
I think, for the lack of saying it another way, showing the flag.
Absolutely, yep.
It is a lofty title that looks good on your resume.
Yeah,
Regional representative.
yeah.
I'll second that, Mary.
Okay, motion,
On it second.
Don, okay.
motion has been made and seconded. Do we wish to further discuss? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye? 5-0, Mary. Thank you, Mike.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is, although the alleged hurricane or tropical storm, or whatever they're calling it these days, this moment, did not necessarily hit our region. There may be some backlash in the next day or so with some winds and whatnot. I wanted to make sure the board was aware of the fact that our emergency management people were up and running should something have had occurred, that I was in contact with the fire department, the police department, and the highway over the entire course of the notifications, the warnings, and whatnot. And obviously, fortunately, we did not receive, or we did not get hit with anything significant from this storm. Again, my understanding is the next day or so, we may get winds again, but everything was up and running, should something have happened, and nothing did.
Nothing. That's good news, I guess.
And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mike. That ends the town administrator's report. Next, we move on to, Mary, before I go on, do we need the projection set up for the PowerPoint, or no, later on?
Oh, you know what, I totally forgot
See,
about that. I will
that's
get that,
okay.
because I have, yeah.
Yep, if you can, while we move on to the other business,
And the
please.
bonus-
And the cabinet where I was looking
Um,
for.
So, under new business, we have the Hanson American Legion, 92 Robinson Street, change of manager and board of directors. Alrighty, so what we have here, Mike, is the,
So what we want to do is open a hearing for a change of manager and change of board of directors?
open up a hearing on this, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Where is it?
I hereby open, do I have to make a motion on it?
Yeah, we need a motion and a second to
I
open.
need a
hearing.
motion to open up a hearing to reassign the change of manager and board of directors for the Hanson American Legion, 92 Robinson Street.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. No, I don't, it doesn't have to be a roll call
Yeah, you
vote.
should do a roll call.
We should do roll call, okay.
You in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Bill? Bill's in favor too, go.
Is it here?
Yeah, it's here, it looks like this. It says retail alcoholic beverages license application right on top.
Yeah, I got it.
And on the second page, you'll see the name of the office
Yeah.
and the person. If I could, I think I'm just going to read the name of the office and the person that's running for it. So,
These are the people who have already been voted as the board of directors. We actually want to start with the manager,
with
and that's
the,
be Anne Marie.
okay,
And
What-
Anne Marie is here with us, she's right here.
okay, is this on the last page, Mary, or the second last page? Emery, I see the very last page, right? The licensing information, Hanson American Legion, manager information is Emery Tom Shea? Is that
Tom
correct?
Shea.
Thank you, sorry for that, I'm terrible on it, so,
Terrible name. It's okay.
no, it's
Bruce,
cool.
my father-in-law.
Is it?
Got
Yeah.
married to Sean.
Cool, okay.
Yeah.
So we would, I guess, make a motion to vote Anne Marie as the manager for the Hanson American
Right,
Legion?
you can, any questions?
So move.
Second.
Move to second, okay, open for discussion. Any questions to Anne Marie? I see your list of past tenure employment, O'Harley's Pub in Rockland, Mass., which is since closed, Damien's in Hanson, and Spring Street, Hanson, Mass., is that it? Oh, yeah, right, that's where it is, I'm sorry.
Damien's.
Yep, and the Pasta Bin in Brockton.
Yeah, it's a different name now. It's Cafe Tutoria.
Difference it?
Ben
Cool,
Albany still owns it.
cool. And how long have you been doing this?
25 years.
Wow, that's
I
pretty
got my
cool.
license in 1990. Dropped in school back then. I've been raising kids, so.
Nice, very good. Any questions to Anne Marie on this, folks? Any questions at all? Thank you for doing this, I guess, appreciate it.
I'm good.
Motion has been made in second, let's put it to vote. All those in favor of appointing Anne Marie Tomshay as a manager application, this should be roll call vote too, I would imagine, right, Mary? Roll call vote.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Yes,
I'm in favor.
Yes.
5-0, congratulations, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And then the
Okay.
change of board of directors.
And then the
That was
change of
list.
board of directors, which is the first page,
Yeah, the under-
correct?
Second page.
Yeah, like annual report lists all their names, that would be easier to find.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to give the name of the office and the name of the person. I'm not going to read their address. Up, down, president is Mr. John Hamilton. Treasurer is Mr. Paul Finch. Clerk or secretary is Mr. John Hamilton again. Wow, he's got a lot of work there. Director is Mr. Sam Hammond, one of my favorite guys in Hanson, good guy. Lawrence Mills, I know Larry. And Paul Benton. Those last three would be the directors or officers having the powers of directors. I would entertain a motion to assign those folks to those positions as read from the annual report.
Again, so moved.
That's it. Motion's been, yeah, yeah, it's the same one, it's the same.
Okay.
Motion has been made, I need it seconded.
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion. Do we have any of these folks here tonight? Some? No? Yes? All right,
I'm one of the board of directors, I'm also chairman of the executive committee.
very cool.
What is Benton, the director?
Yeah, director, yep.
I don't have Benton on mine. I don't know why.
What's that?
Benton's not on mine, but that's all right.
Wonder how that happened.
It's on the front, it's not on the
Scanned
second
in.
page. No, that's fine.
Oh, we'll have to work on those
He's a retired
scans.
police officer in Brockton, he's a member.
So we're good there, okay. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any questions for anybody? Any questions? Thank you again, appreciate you stepping up.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Say, vote, roll call vote?
Oh, yes. I'm in favor.
Yes?
I'm in favor.
Yes.
5-0, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's connected to my computer.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is
Fire station septic system repair?
the fire station septic station, system repair. The contract was awarded to J.M. Shaw Construction In your packets, gentlemen, you should see, with very little print, this,
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's
You might
okay.
be able to see them better
The
on your,
bid
on your
tabulation.
iPad, you could make them bigger.
on the iPad, which I have not, I haven't set mine up yet. I know, I'm gonna go into it. That's pretty cool. We got our iPads. That's what Mike should have said, right, Mike? And one of the things, we all got our iPads.
You all get your
Yep, and Donnie's gonna give us a lesson, okay? So what we have are a number of companies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 companies that posted bids for the repair of the fire station's septic system repair. And the contract was awarded to J.M. Shaw Construction, which was the lowest bidder at $41,750. The other bids were E. Watson Excavating Incorporated at $78,000, Richard D'Ambrosio Incorporated at $44,200, Diagonal Incorporated at $51,185, Dendel Construction at $49,145, Speakum Excavating LLC Limited, $57,429, AE Wood Trucking Corporation, which was at $54,525. So I believe what we're looking for, what's that? It's right here, it's right on this one that says 41,750. It's the second to last one.
Oh, I got it, okay.
$41,750.
4750.
Yeah, that's right. Bless you.
J.M. Shaw Construction Company.
J.M. Shaw Construction
Company
Corporation, yep, Incorporated. So I believe Hanson Fire might be looking for a consensus or vote by the Board of Selectmen for this, Mary. Would we be looking for a vote on this?
A vote to award the bid to
Award the
Yes.
bid?
James Shaw.
Okay.
For me to sign it.
So motion to award the bid to J.M. Shaw Construction Corporation for $41,750, allowing our town administrator, Mr. Mike McHugh, to move forward with that repair.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? Mike, did you open up the bids in your office, or?
Yes,
Very cool.
yeah, back, when was that, Thursday last? It was either Thursday or
yeah.
Wednesday last.
All right, great. Do we have a timeframe, if it passes here, when they would begin?
I believe that we are looking for them to begin the 18th or the 19th of this month.
This month? Wow.
Yes. And actually, Mr. Chairman, I had this in my report. I decided not to include it, but I'm trying to work some sort of a deal in which we can save apparently what serves as the town's Christmas tree in front of the fire station, have that, because that will need to be removed for the construction of this system. I'm trying to find the funds by which we can actually transplant that over to the town hall ground, so I'm still working on that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Mike. So, motion has been made and seconded. There's no further discussion. Call to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 5-0, Mary. Okay, next, we have on our new business, vote the 2017 private way plow list. And in front of me, I have a private way plow list of all privately owned streets, I believe, from Alden Way to Woodman Terrace and everything in between. Too many here to mention. However, I did have a general question, Mary. Where some of these streets are asterisked with Alden Way, Christopher Lane, Gray Lane, Valley Forge Road, and Stringer Lane. It says will be billed if not plowed by the contractor or owner.
Right.
So does that mean that we bill them, the contractor,
Correct,
right?
right.
Yep.
Okay. Because sometimes it's easier to do than for them to do it themselves.
Right, they should be doing it themselves, but we're not gonna leave the people who live on the streets in
And, yeah.
peril, so they'll
Okay.
plow, and then we'll.
It's really a
plow.
public safety thing.
Mhm. So this has to be approved by the selectmen for plowing snow this winter. Hopefully we won't get too much. So I would entertain a motion to vote to approve 2017 private way plow list as listed
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, next we have the Hanson Historical Society request common victualler license. I don't know why I have a problem with that, but anyway, September 17th and the 18th. So it is read as such that this is to certify that the Hanson Historical Society on Main Street is hereby granted a common victualler license in said Hanson and at that place only, and expires December 31st, 2016, unless sooner suspended or revoked for violation of the laws of the Commonwealth respecting the licensing of common victualers. This license is issued in conformity with the authority granted to the licensing authorities by General Laws, Chapter 140, and amendments thereto. So,
That's for the annual yard sale.
oh, is this for the end?
That's hot dogs and hamburgers and cheeseburgers for you.
Are you on that commission, Bruce? Oh, yeah, okay, that's very nice. This is a, we're kind of jumping around, I don't know if you people saw it, but this is a picture of the bench. It looks pretty nice, for everybody who can see it, so. I'm gonna pass that down. All right, so, I would entertain a motion to accept the Hanson Historical Society request for common victualler license September 17th and 18th for the annual yard sale.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0, Mary. All right, cool. I should probably read the Hanson Historical Society, Route 27. This is it, right?
That's it.
Yeah,
This
the
is it.
event.
So why don't I read this since it is relative to what they're talking about. The annual Harvest Fair Yard Sale, Saturday, September 17th, and rain date is the 18th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're serving lunch, desserts, drinks, and antique car rides are available. Vendor space is available. Contact Patty Norton at 781-294-8645. All right, next, we have under old business, review town meeting articles. And in front of you, gentlemen, you should have a summary of the articles. In addition to the revised town meeting language on this.
Mr. Chairman, I had sat down with the town accountant last Tuesday, and as I mentioned last week, when we went over the articles and placed them on the warrant, that some of them could be combined, they may be moved, they may be renumbered. So the top sheet, it looks like this, and it's attached to the spreadsheet, explains what
was
we did,
combined?
the changes we made. He recommended that we move Article 6, the Finance Committee stabilization article, Article 10, the police, for the police cruisers, Article 14 for the tree warden, into the supplemental budget article, which is Article number 2.
Article 2.
So we combined that, and there may be other items added to the supplemental budget. As we get closer to town meeting, we may find that there are other things that are gonna be coming up short.
Okay.
So then, we had the 8 or 9 articles for the schools. He recommended doing it in a matrix format, similar to what we do for capital improvement. And the purpose of this is just to move town meeting along. Instead of having somebody stand up and move each one of the articles separately, we'll move it as Article 18, and then we'll review each item as item 1 through 9.
Okay.
However, the school has requested that we pull 2 of the articles they gave us, which had previously been numbered 26, which is the middle school univents, and Article 28, the Indian Head rooftop units. The first was 35, the rooftop unit was 45. When he pointed out that those particular items were not yet on the capital improvement plan, they decided to pull them, and they will address them in May.
Okay.
So the board would really have to open up the warrant to pull those
Remove those.
particular articles out. And we changed funding sources for 2 of the water articles. They have gone from water surplus to water revenues. That was Article 15 and 17, and Article 29, the Camp Corny septic will be coming from retained earnings.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion afterwards on this. So again, changes in sources for Article 15, which is the water contract, and Article 17, which is the water truck, water revenue, and Article 29. So all we're doing is we're keeping those articles, simply changing where we're getting the funding from these.
Correct.
Okay, cool. All right. I would like to,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
before you get into, yeah, I know you're going, you know the article on Memorial Field?
yes, sir.
I
Article
spoke
changed
to,
now.
I had a concern about that, so I spoke to the town clerk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe she initiated that article to begin with because we haven't been able to get members to run for that office.
Right.
But she reiterated what she'd really like to do is to see that office changed, those offices changed from elected to appointed. So I'd like to see that article adjusted accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the town meeting so votes it, it would be instructing the Board of Selectmen to prepare an initiative petition to the legislature to
The
make
House of
those,
Reps and the
House
Senate
of Representatives, to make those positions appointed
appointed rather than,
elected.
I gotcha.
And that would-
Excuse me, and you're gonna keep it Memorial Field, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, all
Yeah.
that would be retained.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because,
don't change it, keep it Memorial Field.
because there's
We
two,
will.
basically, there's 2 memorials over there. There's a memorial, and they're both for veterans who served, and those who died and those who served during World War I,
Mhm.
the Great European War. And those memorials were basically, the memorials and the field were basically gifts of a veteran by the name of Arthur Sampson. And those were, the field was constructed with the help of him and also by the American Legion. So the American Legion would maintain the memorials, and basically, just as what's taking place now,
Mhm.
Parks and Fields takes care of the maintenance of the field, that would continue. And Memorial Field, actually, there's a stipulation in the, I sent it to Mike. Mike took a look at it. There's actually, in the article that says what the responsibilities of Memorial Field Committee are, basically,
Maintenance and.
the maintenance of that field will continue. It's been going on for decades now.
Mhm.
And the Memorial Field Committee would just delegate, has the right to delegate the maintenance of the field over to Parks and Fields, which I'm sure they have no problem with, because it's been happening
They've
that
been
way for
doing it
years
anyway.
So that basically would solve the problem.
We actually have, I think, 4 positions on that board. I know 2 of them, I think, were submitted by the Blight brothers, Justin, and I forget the other young man, escapes me.
Actually, I think it's both the same
Both
last
Blights.
family
They're the
name.
only 2, I think.
Yes.
Mike Jocelyn was on it, but I believe his time has expired.
Yeah,
from-
and if you make it appointed,
Two
it's a lot
brothers.
easier to be appointed, it is to be elected for that position, go out and get,
Vote, yeah,
signatures.
Signatures, right.
So that would, people would come forward and.
Well, my understanding, and this is going back to, I believe, Selectman Young's concerns, and actually the town clerk's concerns, is that this has been for decades, as far as I know, a position for which no one has run. And the concern was, again, the fact that perhaps that charge given by the state, given to the town, was not being taken care of. I think that should the board so choose to petition the state to change it from an elected to appointed board, so that the Board of Selectmen can appoint people to oversee this, that's probably appropriate. And I had a conversation with the veterans agent just this afternoon, who assures me if it moves in this direction, that there will be people willing to step forward and ask for appointment by the Board of Selectmen to oversee this.
Okay.
And it's probably the best solution
Okay.
for this issue.
Well, I think it holds to the point, because if I read the item here, it says dissolve Memorial Field trustees. And from what Mr. Young just identified as, this was simply a placeholder where we are allowed to change the language of this article, which would basically be to change the office from elected to appointed
Yes, sir.
positions.
Again, and as you mentioned, a lot of these things, not all of them, but a decent amount of them are placeholders for conversations such as we're having this evening. Just so there's a topic identified and that topic is addressed, whether the way we identified it originally or through, again, conversations like this.
Okay. All right, I think we'd be all in agreement with that, and I'd like to get to the point of the matter from much of the people here, I think, while we're here. On Article, formerly Article 32, now it's known as Article 21,
Slide
with
down.
the language as read, RFP Camp Kawani Management. The article reads, "To see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to issue a request for proposals for the management of Camp Kawani or take any other action in relation thereto." I presented, or I prepared a PowerPoint for everybody so that we could help bring everybody up onto the same page as to where I'm coming from, because there has been much said about this, and it's essentially taken on a life of its own. So I think once we get our presentation up and running, our PowerPoint, the new article number is 21 now. It was formerly known as Article 32. But because, again, we merged the articles and we removed some items, it's now Article 21. So as I move forward to discuss this article, it was mentioned to me on several points that there might be some confusion to this article with the ongoing and current investigation that's going on up at Camp Kawani. So essentially, I've been told that the timing is bad on this, okay? That's on me, that's fine. Personally, I thought that we could do this at the same time concurrently. I think once you understand where I'm coming from, what we've done in the past, I think you'll get a clear understanding of what's being said here, okay? Once we get this up. Luck. Okay, machine's got to warm up for a second. I think, yes, Mr. Hickey? Yes.
If it's going to take a minute to do this, I have a couple of questions on Articles 6 and 7.
Sure.
You know, the Article 7 is just for the Hanson 200th anniversary, which was proposed by the Board of Selectmen.
Mhm.
It doesn't give a sum of money.
I think it should be,
$15,000.
it's on the spreadsheet, 15,000.
Okay,
It will be in a few weeks, Jim.
all right, it doesn't say it on.
No, I know. This,
And
again,
then
it's a-
Article 6 for the demolition.
yep, Should be
for the
1.5.
cost, there's no amount on that either.
1.5 million.
yep,
That's the estimated amount.
yeah,
And that's what you're asking the town for, 1.5 million?
up to. Could be lower. I mean, it's important to know, folks, I get a feeling in a sense that most people feel that these articles, as they're written, are what they are, and that's it, and that's not the case. The language of these articles changes. It took me some time to understand that as well. What they are placeholders, because without them, it becomes increasingly difficult to add an article in here. So these are just placeholders that basically give us a spot and where we can modify the language as we get closer to town meeting. So we probably would have had this done, I know we would have had it done by the 27th at the very least, which is the last meeting, I think, before town meeting.
Okay.
All right?
And it's my understanding from the 175th anniversary of Hanson, we had roughly $4,000 left.
That was correct, yep.
So do we know what the 175 anniversary cost?
At that time?
Yeah.
I haven't heard, Jim. I don't think they looked into it yet, no. I don't even know how much they were allocated, or if they raised that funding themselves. So we'll get to that, you know.
Is that focus, Mike?
Yeah, it's getting coming clear. She is,
You look like-
she's just got to get the stuff up, yeah.
I don't know if when I put it into your iPad, or they took it off my computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's clear. It's just.
Okay.
It's all blurry.
Well, worst case
My
scenario,
eyes aren't that good anyway.
I can stand up, and I can stand up and show people. Yeah, but if I do this, I might be able to do that.
Oh, did you? It's not in docs, or is it?
It's a PowerPoint.
Just keep going. I got-
EPT.
The very last page.
All right, why don't we take a 2-minute recess while some of us have to go to the bathroom? It's getting tough getting old, yeah, exactly. All right. Article, come on in. You got room? All right, we're good? All right, so first and foremost, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to stand, if that's okay. If anybody wants me to sit down, just tell me to sit down. All right? So, can you make it larger or no, Mary?
No,
Maybe
that's
not?
best.
All right, so this is the best we can do right now. So, Hanson Recreation. For the past several weeks, if you can go to slide 2, for the past several months, we've gone to, I think if you click on, click on it, yeah. For the past several months, we've met with the Open Space and Recreation Plan. I was assigned to this board and to work with them on creating a plan for the town which would allow us to file for grants. That's what this plan is needed. You file it with the state, and basically it allows you to file for grants that we can get and use for our town without having everybody pay. 2 of the goals were produced by the Board of Selectmen back 7 years ago. The first goal out there reads, what's in yellow? Review the current recreational and parks committees, recreation, parks and fields, memorial field, town forest, and consider consolidation of 2 or more committees under the umbrella of a newly created recreation commission. Okay, so it's important to say here that we're creating a new recreation commission that would expand outside the town. Okay, it would still have probably the same roles in which it does. We're not sure at this particular time. But in 2015, a town meeting was had where the people of Hanson approved for a recreational director position. Okay? We've had various open space and recreation public meetings held this year to the public. We've sent out emails to the department heads and committees because each department head and board has their own goals. This was the Board of Selectmen's goal. We reviewed this goal on August 9th, where we voted to consider it. And part of that consideration was to collectively invite from each one of these committees members. I would assume the chairs and maybe some other representatives as they wish to come. We gave our town administrator, Mike McHugh, permission to meet and to figure out how to do this. Part of how to doing this view was, in my opinion, it still is how this new recreation position is to be done. Because these people, under this plan, under the current recreation department, would know best how that job should work. Make sense? That's it. So we're not talking about doing away with the Recreation Commission. We're talking about creating a new Recreation Commission in itself. We held a meeting on August 9th from the Board of Selectmen that reviewed the goal. We voted to move forward with it. We had public visioning sessions that were advertised in the Whitman-Hanson Express on these goals. And I will tell you, it was part of the plan. 2 of them, I think one of the meetings was on June 22nd. The other one was held on August 1st at 7 p.m. in this room. We took attendance, we took meeting minutes of these, everything's there. It's part of the plan, it's in the plan. On June 14th, there was a Board of Selectmen meeting where the town administrative goals were. It was mentioned that, again, I'm having trouble reading this, I don't know if you guys are too, but it says, town administrative goals in working with the Recreation Board was the Camp Quaney director. advertise and hire using the enterprise account funds a recreation and weddings rentals director to better manage and utilize the many buildings at Camp Kawani historic site off Indian Head Street, emphasizing its intent purpose as a family recreation camping facility. Okay, can we move to the next slide, please? So on August 9th, we reviewed this goal. We talked about it. I'm sure you've seen the YouTube meeting itself. We talked about to review and improve the selectmen's goals. We talked about the key word here, which is to consider this goal. It was passed. Part of that consideration went on August 23rd, where I believe many of you probably were here at this meeting, and it was discussed that Article 32, which was only a worded placeholder, and most likely would change. Article 2 read, and I read it earlier, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to issue a request for proposals, an RFP, for the management of Camp Kawani. And then just some timeline of events. We had the Recreation Board resign for their reasons. The resignations were put into limbo, and we've since transferred the Kawani operations to the town administrator. This was all done on the 23rd. We move to the last slide. I tried to keep it short, okay? So this is the vision of which we would have been moving to in order for the new Recreation Commission. This is still driven by volunteers, by people who come in, like yourselves, okay? It's still part of the Parks and Fields Memorial Trust and Memorial and Town Forest. It's a compilation of all those departments into a new Recreation Commission. Now, I see these folks as driving events and recreation events for our town, bringing in an annual carnival for the kids, doing something for our seniors, Christmas tree lighting. Any event, any recreational event would need and should go through this new Recreation Commission. Okay? I would see that these folks could best advise various departments like a tree lighting committee or something like that on how to go about getting the right actions in place, putting something in front of the selectmen, so forth, so on. I also see this new group up here as having a series of meetings, as we discussed from each department, on how to manage the recreation for the town, the options that we have, how to merge these, because we bring in some complexity when we talk about bringing in Memorial Trust. As you see here, I put Memorial Field, right? Do we want to include this in here? Can we? That's the type of discussions that would occur at this level through these meetings. If we can't, or how do we go about doing this? We discussed it tonight, right? The director position, what this position would entail. I envisioned that it would go to a town meeting to be voted and looked at by everybody here in the town and to vote yes or no. That includes the director position. This position would manage the cabins, the weddings, the functions, security, and the maintenance of Camp Kawani. This position can take the form of either an employee or a contractor or a vendor. Okay? I know it can be, I know when people hear vendor, they think vendor, and it's going right to the town administrator or whatever, okay? But that's not what was being done here. The vendor can be the director position that reports to the new Recreation Commission. So the town still oversees what this position is, and they still have some input, because I understand how important it is for a lot of people on, having the place. We're losing that sense, I guess. I'm hearing this, right? Where drama clubs, we're losing the sense. It's almost as if it's becoming its own entity in terms of just for weddings and functions. If it's gonna make money, the money's more important than the drama. No, that's what these folks will see fit doesn't happen, okay? And they can do that, again, it's all different ways. They can set up fixed weekends, maybe in fall and spring, or quarterly, that say this is dedicated to Hanson's recreation. However they see fit, this is all open and just an idea. They still work this through. Benefits of an employee. They have the salary, we agreed, we know that the town funded it from between $30,000 to $50,000. I don't think we funded it yet. but
No,
this was-
you created it.
We created it,
Yes.
right. The pros and cons of each one. has to be analyzed by this, right? Pension, benefits. The town has risks still. What risks are associated with the employee? As a contractor, still the same salary. The town has risk, but it's not an employee. You certainly, if they're not managing or doing their job, much easier to say in 30 days or less, or whatever it is, whatever the contract is, this, they're out, right? Same thing with vendor. But the problem is with the vendor, and they can bring in, now you might ask yourself, what's the difference between these two? The vendor can actually bring in their own people, okay? They can bring in their own caretakers, they can bring in their own admins, whoever they see fit. But we don't know what this number dollar amount is. And that's what this Article 32 was then. It's now Article 21. And the pros and cons here, again, is the vendor has the risk, right? We put the vendor responsible for Camp Kawani, still under the direction of the new Recreation Commission. Now, if you'll notice out here too, there's arrows going to the town administrator from both areas, right? There's got to be feedback in all three of these. There's got to be feedback with the town administrator in terms of the director position to make sure that the contracts and so forth are being done right and signed. And then we also know that the new Recreation Commission needs to know from the town administrator what the right policies and procedures are. Again, Memorial Field would be considered out here. The question mark means whether we should consider taking it out or not. When we talked about vendor, this is what we talked about as the director position, not vendoring out Camp Kawani, not removing the Recreation Commission as we see it, but basically better managing the cabins, weddings, functions, security, maintenance, Board of Health issues with regarding food services, right? Liquor licensing. We can actually issue the liquor license one time to the vendor for their party that they bring in. It changes the way we do things, I understand that, but it still puts the control under the people. That's what this is. This is what this plan was. Now, I know that there's a lot of questions and problems out there. I know that there was a lot of hearsay, a lot of things, a lot of nasty things said. I read them. I know you know them too. But I only presented this plan, I think I presented it to the Blosses out of respect because of the amount of time that they certainly put into it. But the problem is, folks, is in all honesty, we had meetings on this. We did put meetings to the public on this. This was not a big secret. And we had no intention of doing away with the existing Recreation Commission. All right, I can try to field some questions, but remember, just remember things. This is an idea, so there might be details that we don't know of, that we can answer that we don't know yet.
Hi, Audrey Flanagan, Baker Street. Were the Recreation Commission members invited to any of these open space meetings that were held that were publicly?
Yes, they were.
They were invited personally to come to these meetings and they didn't go?
I believe each chairman of the board was invited by them. But the problem was, Audrey, what I found out was unfortunately it went to the person who no longer is chairman there. It went to Mr. Blouse. Listen, I'm going to ask, and I'm sorry to have to ask this, but I really would like a sense of decorum and some respect here, okay? Because in all honesty, folks, you know, there's been a lot of heat put on this. And I think if you look at this idea, and even though if you might not understand it now, you do, I think it's clear that we had no intention of removing a Recreation Commission on this. I'm going to move this away to the room. Please state your name and address.
Diane Cohen, Pleasant Street. And I've only lived in town 1 year, but I've been coming to Camp Kawani for a few years. It's one of the reasons I moved here. So I just have a couple of questions, and please pardon my ignorance if you already know the answers. The new Recreation Commission, would those positions be appointed or elected?
I believe that they would be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. That's where we were going with tonight.
Okay.
I know that the other ones are, except for the Memorial Trust.
Okay.
They're elected.
And I just want to point out a little bit of a dichotomy in what you said with vendor. I think you stated that you understood the concern here that Camp Kawani was losing its identity. And there's a lot of unanswered questions with vendor, and then you said they can bring in their own people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes it scared, that it would lose its identity.
And again, and you're right, Diane, but that is all subjective. It may not be that way. The new Recreation Commission might say, we want you to have volunteers. You know what I'm saying? It's all,
Absolutely, it's all speculation,
Right.
and I totally understand that. And this model is very well presented, and it looks well done, and it looks great on paper.
Mhm.
So does communism.
well, the good thing about this is that, the good thing about this is that if you didn't like it, you don't have to vote for it.
No, absolutely.
And that's not communism.
No, I'm not saying.
I know, but I'm just saying. I have a question in the back?
Hi, Glennis Lee, High Street. I just have a question for all of the members. When is the last time you went to a function with Campbell?
Me personally?
Yes.
I know my son has gone up there recently. I think he went this summer, and I know that
Wedding,
I'm saying,
reunion, camping.
I've gone up there myself when I ran the Hanson Has Taste,
Mhm.
right, where we raised $10,000 for our school.
Did you have really big issues?
No, I thought it went fine.
What's the
It's
problem?
not broke, don't.
There's no problem, ma'am. What I'm trying to say here is that we had a goal here, and the goal's been lingering for 7 years. And I honestly thought that we were trying to move to this direction. It made sense to me that maybe what we could do for a $300,000 company is maybe put it to a vendor that might take on some of the risk. This was a goal that we had to achieve that was listed.
I don't think the people who volunteer their time are as concerned with the risk as they are with the reward, and the camp is their reward. You give it to an outside person, they have no connection to it.
Right.
None whatsoever. And so it becomes a money-making venue that no one has any ties to, and then all it is a function facility.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue with you, but when you say outside, the people of Hanson own it. Whether they use it or not has no relevance. You know what I'm saying? It belongs to everybody equally. Who else had a question here?
Sheila Morse, Piper Ave.
Sheila?
If you already had all that,
Mhm.
why would you create a new goal?
This isn't a new goal. This is an existing goal that was done 8 years ago, in 2008. Not by this board. On the first page, Diane, the goal was originally set in 2008. Want to take this? Okay, Mr. Hickey,
That was the Open Space Committee.
Open Space Committee. Mr. Hickey.
Jim Hickey, Perry Ave. Mary, could you possibly go back to number 2, please? Mr. Chairman, you had mentioned there were 2 meetings?
Yes.
That either the chairman or someone from each of those committees were invited to?
Right.
When was the first one? I can't.
June 22nd.
June 22nd?
Yes, sir.
And that invitation went to Dave Bloss.
Right.
He didn't show.
Right. David was dismissed, he was gone.
Yes, he was.
Right.
On the second meeting, August 9th,
Yep,
I had been the chairman for 11 weeks.
right.
And was in Mike's office that afternoon. So you're telling me from the June meeting to the August 9th meeting, no one thought to send me an email? I was still chairman of the rec commission
Hold on,
at the time.
Mhm. I think the problem was, Jim, and if I'm not mistaken, is that typically, if you look at the way boards are done in town, a letter goes out from the commission saying that they've reorganized, right? And that goes to all the departments. To the person who sent the invites on that meeting, didn't get a letter from the recreation department that they reorganized.
It wouldn't have been from the recreation department, it would have been from the administrative assistant,
No, sir, it's not. It's done by the recreation department.
which
It's
is in
done by
our
the.
minutes.
It's done by the board. The board, usually when they reorganize, they draft a letter and they send it to all the departments saying, we've reorganized, this is our new chairman, this is our new vice chairman, this is our new secretary, and so forth, so on. And as far as I can tell, Jim, I didn't see any email of that nature going, or not even just an email, but a notice going to them, and communication broke down, not as a direct result, but yes, you're correct, quite correct. But did the person know about this? No, I did not. I didn't know.
So the person that sent out the invitations did not know Dave was dismissed?
Exactly, because we didn't get a reorganization letter, exactly.
Okay. Mary, could you go to number 4?
No, you know, Mr. Flanagan, you might laugh on that, but that's really how it goes. I can show you several letters that I've gotten from different organizations, and that's how it's done. I'll also say something, and I'll be polite, okay? I did state that some sort of letter should be coming from every board when they reorganize. It has to be done.
Should it have come from, should they have mandated to the, or requested to the AA that it be written out?
No, sir, they write it themselves. All they do is, I've got letters that basically say, hey, we reorganized this board, this is the new people, and that's it.
Right.
from the board themselves.
So I guess they didn't know to do that.
I would say differently to that fact.
You would?
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
I would, because I'm personally involved in saying that something should have gone out before. Okay? I'm personally involved in that regard.
Somebody has an answer for that.
Hold on, Mrs. Mariah?
Ryan McClellan, Indian Head Street. If the Board of Selectmen and Mr. McHugh were never informed that Mr. Hickey had been made chairman, why would they meet with him ever?
Okay, number one is, I knew Jim Hickey. I knew where Jim Hickey was. He was the board. I knew that he was there, okay? I didn't read the email that went out to whomever it went out with. So naturally, I assumed it went out to him. But it didn't go out to him. It went out to Mr. Blouse.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying we never acknowledged that he was chairman.
No,
of the
I'm
commission.
not saying that. I'm
They
saying,
never sent information that he was the chairman, and yet you accepted him acting as chairman.
absolutely, that's correct. That's right. But
So
unfortunately,
which way is it?
but unfortunately,
Is he the chairman
but
or-
unfortunately, the person who runs the open space plan didn't know that that was the case. I'm sorry, somebody in the back?
Sue Lonigan, 16 years recreation, 416 meetings. Board of Selectmen never came to one until December. You couldn't pick me out of a crowd, and I've been on the board for 16 years. I've never seen this plan. 8 years ago, I was on the board. I was never invited to a meeting. This was never shown to me. This is not true. And for 16 years, we've had new chairman and vice chair. We have never written a letter, never known to write a letter. So maybe this board could have come to one of our meetings and said, hey, we're looking for a letter from you. Where is it? We've never had any feedback. We've never believed there was anything wrong. You've never led us to believe that there was a problem. 16 years, 416 meetings. You came to one to ask for the lodge for free for the fundraiser.
I've gone to 2 meetings on this, that's correct. And unfortunately, hold on for a second, Ms. Lonigan, now it's my turn, okay? I have gone for it, and unfortunately, I didn't have the time to go back to make sure that every department head who was the department head, to make sure that they get that, to get the invitation to the meeting. What I can tell you is that there was a breakdown in the communication, and that plan, those goals have true, and that's been the way it has been. We have put those public visioning statements out there, we have put that goal out there, it is there. And if you need to, come to the recreation committee meeting, and they'll tell you the same thing, that we have stated that. We have put those out there.
Well, we've
I'm
never-
sorry that you haven't heard of it,
We've
I'm
never
sorry.
seen it, and I've seen it now tonight, and I think that would have been something nice for the recreation board to meet with the Board of Selectmen and discuss it.
Right. I absolutely, it was, but we thought that the invitation going out would have made it, it didn't. This gentleman?
Randall King, JD Did Lane. Couple questions I had. One, you said initially, you said if we hire someone to manage a rec coordinator, is that what we call it?
Recreation
Director. Could cost 30 to 50, could be a contractor, could be a vendor.
Mhm.
We also said the number one reason to do this was to get funding. Would the recreation director write the grants?
It could be, that's for the new, that's for the new, Mr. O'Kane, that's for the new Recreation Commission to decide.
So the new recreation commission would decide how to write the grants?
I would, they would decide, I
Or
think.
who would write the grants?
No, that's correct. I think that they would know what to assign that director position.
And then the recreation director, as on there, would help with the cabins, the weddings, the functions, security, maintenance. And Memorial Field is outside.
That's correct.
The other fields are outside. It's only the Camp Kawani section, or what else is in that new recreation commission?
In the
Pass
new
this
Recreation
right there.
Commission underneath there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should take this one, pass this to me.
Recreation, parks and fields, Memorial
So-
Fest.
It's right underneath the new
Yeah,
recreation.
It goes back to the first goal.
cabins, the weddings, the functions, the security, the maintenance, and Memorial Fields.
Right. Now, this is all concerning
Yeah.
Article 32.
Yeah, okay.
This all concerns Article 32.
I mean, to me, it really sounds, pardon, it sounds to me like it's running Camp Kawani and picking up the fields.
It's picking up the Parks and Fields. Parks and Fields right now does the sports organizations, right? All that would have to be considered in with the new Recreation Commission as well, right? The town forest?
The rec director wouldn't manage like the sports teams. I mean, wouldn't run Little League.
No, sir. This is explaining why
So
Article,
really to run
this
the-
is explaining Article 32 and the word vendor.
Okay. I guess my opinion is it looks very much like Camp Kawani plus a couple of fields.
It's Camp Kawani plus the statement underneath where it says new recreation commission.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to
I
clarify.
understand.
Thank you. No worries.
In the back?
Brian Cameron on Gerald Street. I just have a clarification on the new rec commission. My understanding from 2 weeks ago was that you weren't trying to do away with the recreation committee as it was,
Right.
but you just said that the recreation commission would be appointed, and it sounded as though the rec committee as it is would be gone.
I just said to you on the far box to the right, where it says where we approved Mr. McHugh to bring in members from the existing committees that would be part of the new Recreation Commission and decide how that's going to be done. You're right that those people, the way I see it, sir, would have been that those people who were part of the Recreation Commission would be part of the new Recreation Commission. Absolutely.
So the entire recreation committee would be invited to be part of that commission.
That's right, because that's how I see it, in addition to the members of the other boards.
The way I've been following it, and with all the stuff you've been hearing,
Yeah.
and I know you guys have all been watching it, but the way I've been understanding it is, it sounded as though the rec committee was going to be replaced by this.
I know what it sounded like, but my point to you, sir, is that if you go to the second slide, we've had numerous meetings where we said we were creating a new
I
recreation.
understand what you're saying, and I respect that,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is, I think that needed to be made more clear further in advance, and I don't think it would have got to this point.
Quite possibly, yes. Absolutely. I agree with you. Next.
Hi, Kelly Bertino, State Street. I have a question about the director position and specifically who would do the hiring of this position and how can we be sure that it's somebody who would advocate for recreation at the camp?
What I'd like to say to that would be the new Recreation Commission would decide all that,
Which is appointed by the town.
by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So my point to you folks is that
So we just
all
wanna
these
make sure-
questions are up in the air. The details are not yet had from here. Okay, everything that would have come out on who does what and where it goes would have come from the new Recreation Commission.
So is this something that's supposed to be, I mean, it sounds like we're trying to get this voted by the October 8th, October 6th town
No,
meeting?
I tell you, no, what I'm thinking of doing, what I'd like to do, is when I open the warrant, I'm gonna make a motion to remove the article. Because I think the timing's bad. I think people are confusing this with much of what's going on with regard to the investigation, and certainly, or inquiry, whatever you wanna call it. The point is that the timing's bad, and I didn't see that coming. So that's it. Okay, I got a call on somebody who hasn't been called on yet.
Hi, it's Margaret Hippie, Beach Director of Cranberry Cove, and I also live on Gerald Street. I know I've been going to the meetings for the last 2 summers, and I know the commission has been doing all of the things that you've been saying. They've been making the recreation. They did the family day, they did camping day. They've hosted so many things, so I don't understand why you would, and it's hard enough to organize everybody in this town as it is. Why are we gonna add a couple of more groups to the mix? I just think it would make it more complicated.
Okay, what do you mean by groups? Because the town voted for the director position. So we're filling that position, that's gonna happen. Right? The town voted for it, we've gotta do it. We can do it as either one of those 3 items. By the way, Cranberry Cove, in my mind, wouldn't be part of the director's position. It would still probably go under the new Recreation Commission, because I'd still like to see our kids who are lifeguards and so forth, so on. So that could still be done by the Recreation Commission, not necessarily by the director position. It could be, it depends on how they wish to move forward with it.
I say no.
There you go, right.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't get to, Jim Hickey Perry, I didn't get to finish my question. Mary, if you could go back to number 2. And I don't wanna, make this sour grapes or anything, but could I ask who was at these June meetings and August meetings?
The minutes of the meeting have the attendance records.
Okay, were you
I
there?
don't know them off, oh yeah, I was there.
You were there?
I'm a member of the Open Space Board.
Mr. Young, were you there?
The Open Space Committee?
Yeah, at this particular meeting,
The Open Space Committee I was.
and Mr. Mitchell?
Yes,
were you
I was there
I
representing
was at the
Hospital.
Open Space
And-
Committee.
Mr. McHugh, were you there?
I believe so.
Okay, the reason I'm asking this is that, and I'm sorry, Mr. Scott and Mr. Howard, I don't have your cell phone numbers, but I've been in constant contact with all four of you through text messaging. And when you went to the June meeting and didn't see Dave Gloss or any other of the Recreation Commission members, a simple text, you knew I would be there. If I got a text,
Can I
you knew
clarify
I would
something
be
about
there.
that June meeting?
Please do.
I was at the June meeting, Mr. Hickey.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just clarify something. And it came up what these goals were, because I hadn't really heard them myself, because I had never been to an open space committee meeting before, but I made it a point to go there. And when the goals came up, they came around to the one that was for the selectmen, and they mentioned combining those positions. And I mentioned, establishing, making it more professional up there. And I mentioned the fact that, that I had brought up like 3 or 4 months prior to that meeting, that it would be a good idea to bring the Recreation Commission into the 21st century, to hire a professional director, all right, who would have some kind of degree in recreation management, and also a minor in some kind of financial management, either accounting or marketing, so to speak, to assist the Recreation Committee, the Recreation Commission, in helping to promote the rental of the cabins, more rentals of the Neal's Lodge, bring in more revenue, and advance more recreational programs in the town under the Recreation Commission. And they thought that was a great idea, and I mentioned that. And as far as bringing the other 2 boards into it, there wasn't that much discussion at that meeting. It was mentioned in passing, but there was no elaborate detail. But keep in mind, when I brought that position forward for the Board of Selectmen, everybody here was in favor of it, okay? Then we took it to town meeting, and we got the town meeting to establish the professional position of a recreation director under the classification and compensation bylaw. So it's been added in there for the first time, hold on,
Okay.
at a rate of 30 to 50,000. Now understand, under the classification and compensation bylaw, it allows you to do one of 2 things if you hire that person, okay? You can either have them, where's it, can you go back to that first chart that shows, okay. You can either hire them as an employee, okay? Or you can hire them as a contractor, like the town accountant. Todd works for a contractor. We pay that contractor, but he is sworn in as the town accountant. He is officially an employee for the purposes of ethics. He is considered an employee. Now, there is no place in the wage and classification bylaw where it allows you to hire a vendor, all right, for that particular position. So if we go forward, okay, which I would like to do on Article 32, all right?
21.
Article 20, it's Article 21 now, and hire a professional recreation director, okay, as the town meeting voted to do. We could either hire them as an employee or a contractor under the Recreation Commission as it stands. This other part of it, this new Recreation Commission, that's down the line, if it happens. That's a whole other ballgame.
Absolutely.
So don't get confused, because don't get confused don't get confused by the word goals and objectives. Because the
Consideration.
original goals and objectives of this board that I put forward that night, that was accepted by all the boards, was to go forward and instruct Mr. McHugh at some point in time during this fiscal year to go forward with what the town meeting wanted to do, and that was hire either an employee or a contractor for the position of professional recreation director under the current Recreation Commission as it stands and as it existed going back to 1990 article that was adopted by the town of Hanson, that gave the management of that particular camp over to the Recreation Commission. Amen. That's all I have to say.
So with,
I think
so,
that just about
Well,
covers it.
now, that.
Yeah, well, basically, in layman's terms, Selectman Young, back in May, when the town voted to have a recreation director,
Yes,
it was for the Recreation Commission.
under the
not for all
Recreation
that.
Commission. No, it would have covered, if you go back there for a
It
second.
wouldn't cover a Christmas tree lighting.
No, no.
And it wouldn't cover
Doesn't
Hicks
cover
and
any-
two
No,
houses.
No,
That's what you're asking
That is a
that
goal,
to do.
that is a goal of the, that is a goal that was initiated by the Open Space Committee, and that we said that we would, what was the
It was
word?
actually a goal by the Board of Selectmen that was carried into their plan, into the last plan.
8 years ago.
Right.
7 years ago.
Agreed.
And we agreed to look into it.
Consider it, yes.
Consider it. We never agreed to adopt it.
No.
Okay? It was never, we never agreed to adopt it. So that's why at the last meeting, I was surprised to see that article, and I reacted the way I did. And I apologize to the board for the way I reacted the way I did, but that's the way I reacted the way I did.
Okay.
Because the timing at that point for that article could not have been worse, okay? And we're addressing that particular the concern right now.
Right.
But in addition to that particular concern and moving this thing forward, okay, for Article 21, what I would like to see is it 20 or 21?
21.
All right? I would like to see Article 21 read, to see if the town would appropriate and fund, to appropriate the sum of $35,000 from recreation retained earnings to fund the position of Recreation Director for the remainder of fiscal 2017 under the control of the Recreation Commission. That's what I would like to see, how I would like to see Article 21. That gets step one out of the way, okay? And then at some point in time, we can certainly consider whether we want to merge all of those other committees together and form a new committee called the Recreation Commission, and maybe have a 15-member committee of all those other committees, town forest committees. We
Actually,
could
we
go
thought
over and watch
thought
the
it would be
trees
9.
grow if you want.
We're cutting,
As
we're cutting.
members of
I
the
wanna-
forest committee.
Thank you. So again, the language would change on the existing article, okay? But frankly,
That's where you want to go with it.
as I said before, that it's a placeholder. The language was supposed to change on the
I'm gonna make a motion
article.
to change it to that effect.
Personally, I'm going to pull the whole thing because I think it should be
Well,
pulled.
it's up to the board what you
Right,
want to
it's
pull.
up to the board to
But
vote
I'm gonna
on.
make a
I want to
motion.
get a new
I'm gonna
question. Sorry,
make
this
a
gentleman?
motion right now for the article read as I so stated.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, is Mr. Young putting that in the form of a
Yes,
motion?
I put that in the form of a
Mr. Young
motion.
put that into the form of a
Okay,
motion.
then if we have that as a form of motion, I'll second that.
Okay.
Could we answer, before we move to a vote, we're open for discussion. This gentleman has a question. I think we should
I've
try
got
to
a
listen
number
to
of
it.
questions. Kevin Cameron, Partridge Way, Hanson, formerly of the Recreation Commission, have been off the commission for a couple of years.
Mhm.
I'm not at all confused by the two things that are going on. I think that one is ridiculous, but we're not going to talk about it. I think that the issue that you have before us, there are a number of things. I actually agree with Mr. McGinn. I would appreciate it if you pulled this article at town meeting. Further discussion needs
I was going to pull it tonight.
Okay, I think further conversation needs to occur. Number one, to try to fund the position to be a director at $35,000,
Right.
you're going to have zero qualified.
Oh, hold on. You
No,
don't-
no.
Can
Hold
I,
on.
can I respond to that?
Let this gentleman speak.
That's for half a year. That's half a year, from January to June, okay?
Let this
January to
man,
June.
let this man speak first.
Yeah.
Right now, gentlemen, folks, we have no
That's
Recreation
not a whole
Commission
year.
to assign this work to. That's another point you guys got to keep in mind, okay? So I'm going to ask this gentleman to speak and nobody else to, please.
I just wanted to set him straight on that because he's going in the wrong direction.
Right, but,
One more
well,
question.
no, just, even the funding you're talking about, at $70,000, it is difficult to fund. I come from the hospitality industry, I do know somewhat what I speak, and there's only so much money that can be raised running the, please, Bruce, okay, there's only so much money that can be raised doing wedding, et cetera, okay?
Mhm.
But the other part is, first of all, I am quite surprised, when anyone in town has something that directly involves the Recreation Commission, the police chief, the fire chief, they come to a meeting and they present. So whether people were or were not involved, I find it hard to believe that it wouldn't have involved the Recreation Commission a meeting where somebody was attended and say, this is what we're thinking, what's your feedback?
I agree, and I'll tell you the truth is that I didn't see the email go out to whom it should have gone out to. I only asked in preparation of this meeting, in preparation of this question. But I will tell you this, sir. We have a motion. I think what I'd like to do is move to it, okay? Personally, my point of view is the same as yours. We don't have a Recreation Commission to talk about the director position at this point in time. We've assigned those duties over to our town administrator. I'm with you, and I agree with you that we should pull this out and probably wait till after the end of this month on what's gonna come about, right, from the investigation, and then figure out where we're gonna go. Because that might change where you might wanna go with this particular article.
Can always pass over.
So we
the
can
town
always
meeting.
just, you certainly could pass over it, you certainly could have voted no against it as well. So we have a motion that has been made and seconded. Personally, I'm in agreement with you. I would rather, you know, if this doesn't pass, I'm not gonna vote for it, because I would like to remove this article completely from this meeting. That's it. I wanna remove this article, that's my opinion. I'd like to make that motion, but I first have to vote, I have to call for a vote on this motion, folks, okay? The motion has been made and seconded, whether I like it or not, doesn't matter. But personally, I would like to see it removed completely. Mr. Mitchell?
I think that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, go ahead, you're.
I think that, you know, the recreation director is the way to go, but however, I don't think we should make any decision on a recreation director until we have a full recreation committee that's there and functioning, you know? Because they're the ones that are gonna put out the ad for the job, they're the ones that are gonna hire this person, not us. This new director's gonna work for the recreation committee. So they're the ones that are gonna handle all this. Right now, we have no recreation committee. I don't think we should make any decisions on anything until the inquiry is over and we have a new recreation commission, or whoever we get to run the new commission is running.
Can I respond to him for a second?
Mr. Young?
Just to Mr. Mitchell. Keep in mind that the Recreation Commission was in favor of the new recreation director when we voted for it at town meeting. So they're in favor of it. They were in favor. And we're gonna have a, hopefully if things go the way we would like them to go, that shortly after the end of September, we will have at least a quorum back on, in those seats as recreation, in Recreation Commission, before we actually hold the town meeting. So we will have a Recreation Commission in place, okay? And they can, I mean, we'll have.
Well, we can certainly bring that article at that point in time,
I mean, we
right?
can always pass over the article.
But you can also bring it.
We can well, what do you mean, we can also bring it?
Can't you also bring it there, or no?
No, the warrant.
The warrant is.
You have to post it,
I'm talking about before the end of September.
You have to post this by the September 15th.
No, we'd have to do it
You have to post it
2-week timeframe.
15 days prior to the town meeting. This warrant has to be posted,
Right.
okay?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, my understanding in terms of the article that Selectman Young has brought forward and Selectman Scott has seconded merely funds the position. If the Board of Selectmen, absent a functioning Recreation Commission, does not wish to move forward until there is such a commission, they can choose such. Basically, this gives the town the opportunity, the Board of Selectmen the opportunity, should they so choose, to put the funding that was not put in the article or put in the position in the annual town meeting, put the funding there.
So you mean
We do not have to, because town meeting says it's $35,000, $40,000, $50,000. We do not have to act the day after town meeting and moving forward on this unless the Board of Selectmen or reconstituted Recreation Commission chooses to go forward. It just allows us to have that funding. It gives us that option. I do not believe it makes any commitments to this board or a reconstituted Recreation Board to move
Correct.
forward.
Yeah.
But should they choose to do such,
They still have to post the
we've
position,
already
everything
taken
else.
care of that hurdle without having to go back to another
Yeah.
town meeting or wait till May.
Okay.
That's right.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick comment on Selectman Young. And I could be wrong, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure according to the Town Administrators Act, Section 3, that the town administrator could recommend to the Recreation Commission.
That is correct.
On who
Who to
would be
hire.
hired. So the Recreation Commission wouldn't do the interviewing, it would be the town administrator, and he would recommend, according to the Town Administrators Act, he could recommend, and then the Rec Commission, whoever it is, would hire the person of his recommendation.
That is the way the Town
Whether it's
Administrator
one,
Act
two, or
reads,
three.
yes.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
he could recommend 2 candidates, 3 candidates, 1 candidate.
And then it would be up to the Recreation Commission to choose the
That
candidate
is
that
correct.
they want.
That is correct.
But it would be the town administrator that would do the
Interviewing, posting
He does
the
the hiring and
position.
firing of the
He's the
positions.
personnel
Well, he
manager.
recommends, he doesn't hire or fire.
Under the Town Administrator Act, he
He
is
does
the
the hiring
personnel
and firing
manager.
as well. He's the
Jim,
personnel director.
The Recreation Committee wouldn't do the hiring. Town
Yes.
administrator
Town
would do the
administrator
hiring.
does it.
No, no,
He
no,
would only
no,
make a recommendation.
Hold on,
The
folks,
Recreation
please.
Commission would do the actual hiring of
that's
the
correct.
person.
He can only
Hold on.
recommend hiring and firing.
I'm sorry, Selectman Young, I couldn't hear
He
you.
can only recommend hiring and firing.
So
He
who would
can't
do the
hire.
actual hiring?
You would. The Recreation Commission
Recreation
would.
Commission-
Amen, that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
He makes a recommendation to the relevant body.
Relevant
who
body.
then affirms his recommendation.
Correct.
To be voted on.
Mary had the fancy language.
No, no.
Thanks, Mary.
That's okay, that's fine.
Mr. McGinn,
Mr. Scott,
would it be correct to, that if Mr. Young's motion passes, that it would supersede Article 21, and that would be the article before the townspeople, and Article 21 would be
basically, it's
We're
funding.
just changing. The verbiage
Change the
changes.
verbiage.
Verbiage
basically
changes.
changing, yeah.
To Selectman Young's verbiage, yes.
Yeah. So,
The verbiage changes.
do you have the verbiage on
Yes.
that or no? Okay. All right, we have to move forward. I
Mary's
think
got
we've
the
had enough,
verbiage down.
we've had enough bites at this apple unless, one more question? Somebody new? Did you ask? Yes, I'm sorry.
Patricia Straight McGrath, Indian Head Street. So what if the Recreation Commission wanted to do their own research and hire someone from their choice that wasn't
Can't do it.
suggested by the town?
No, they would probably, my guess is, you'd work with the town administrator and say, hey, would you consider hiring this guy's qualified and so forth, right? And he'd have to consider it, though. I mean, that's part of working together on all the
Yeah.
departments.
The-
One more,
If I may, the ideal situation when somebody's hired would be for the town administrator to involve the chairman of that committee in the hiring process, which usually takes place. So whoever the chairman of the committee was, or the vice chair of the committee, the committee could assign somebody to meet with Mike and interview the candidates who responded to the job posting, and that's the ideal way for it to take place. And that's what usually happens. That's the way I've seen it done in the past.
so do you understand, I don't know if the gentleman, was it Brian? Why, what we're talking about now, we're talking about, instead of removing the article, I'm sorry, is that Wes?
Yes.
Wes, go ahead, Mr.
Jim,
Bloss.
I want to say thank you so much, first of all. And I came in here thinking your way, to remove Article 20, take it out. But we already know that there is no space next year at Kiwanee, basically for recreational activities. It's been totally booked, so we can say that the year 2017 is booked.
It's booked for weddings.
So it strikes me that probably what Mr. Young and Mr. Scott have seconded, at least, as Mr. McHugh said, that puts it on the table. We could at least start looking toward the year 2018, restoring some balance. And the longer we wait, I'm just hearing it now, it's like, the longer we wait and say, let's put off this whole recreation director discussion until, but the longer we wait, then we lose 2018 to entire.
Point taken. And I think you're right, based on the explanation, Mr. McHugh. I just wanted the gentleman, I wanted you to understand why I would probably change my vote based on what Mr. McHugh just said.
I understand what
Okay?
you're saying. If it is
If
strictly
it's on
about
funding,
funding
yes.
the recreation position and funding it, and then the next question obviously will be, where is that source of funding?
Right. And where is it gonna go, where do we go from here at the end of this month? Absolutely. So that's
Well,
it.
Retained earnings.
Oh, yeah, no, source of funding, we retained earnings, if that's what you're asking. Sorry.
So that's money in the enterprise account?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. One more question for somebody who didn't ask one.
I have a question about the new Recreation Commission. You're gonna have to really expand it if you're having all these other groups be part of it. Because everybody has an expertise, all the baseball people and the town forest, they all have their knowledge. So you're gonna have to get, you know, the Recreation Commission only has, what, 6 or 7 people. They're gonna have to get a commission that's gonna work together, that's gonna be 12 people at least.
It could be 12
Because that's
people.
a lot of work for just a few people.
It could be based,
All that.
that number on the new Recreation Commission would have to be, decide what that number is gonna be, yeah.
So who would decide that? And
I think it would either be, I would like to get their input, but I believe it might be the Board of Selectmen.
The
That's a good
town meeting
point.
would decide
Town meeting?
that.
Town meeting.
Based on what the article is, that would really create, it would have to rescind the vote of 1990. It would have to establish a new commission of so many members, made up of so many members from the recreation, so many members from Parks and Fields, so many members from the Town Forest Committee, so many members from the Holiday Committee, so many members from the Hanson Day Committee, so many members from the Bicentennial Parade Committee, and it just could go on and on forever.
It could be, but your point is taken, that number could be decided. But because don't forget, the responsibilities,
30 members now?
the responsibilities and tasks of those other departments would all have to be carried forward as well.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, at a previous meeting, as I think many members of this board alluded to, there was a suggestion and there was a charge given to me to get the various representatives of the groups that Selectman Young just read off. Unfortunately, I have not been able to move forward on a meeting with these particular groups because, as we're aware, the current Recreation Commission is sort of in abeyance. It's
We'll have to see in October.
so when things come to pass, as they come to pass at the end of this month, with whatever information is provided to the board, and there's a decision moving forward on the Constitution and whether people wish to come and reapply and be on that board, that Recreation Commission, I can then reach out to those people that wish to be on that board and have the meetings that have been alluded to. But I am not able to have those meetings right now because I have a key group that would be in those conversations that I can't reach out to. So my hands are tied right now to have that conversation. So hopefully, again, at the end of this month, wherever things end up, we'll have a reconstituted Recreation Commission, and we can go further with the goal that the chairman and the Board of Selectmen have spoken about in terms of creating perhaps a more global or encompassing Recreation Commission, or whatever the board chooses to call it at that point.
So Mike, that's a great point. I think I would ask Mr. Young if you would please read the article language again that you wish to propose.
The article would be worded as such: to see if the town would vote to appropriate $35,000 to be taken from the Recreation Enterprise Fund retained earnings to fund a recreation director for Camp Kawani under the control of the Recreation Commission for the period of January 1, 2017 to June 30th of 2017. I'll take any other action in relation thereto.
Okay. So basically, it's to fund the position. So the motion has been made and seconded. All right, so what we're doing is changing the article. Everybody understands what we're changing it to, correct? All
Mr.
right.
McGinn, I have something I'd like to say. Fran O'Kane, Katie Lane. I think in the beginning, when you presented this, opening comments is that it was to fund, we were gonna hire a rec director for this overseeing this group. But the main reason was we were gonna try and get grant money to fund it, and that's a separate issue. I'm all for a rec director at Camp Kawani.
Yes.
Now, this funding is, as Mr. Young, you had stated, this is for the rec commission as it, Camp Kawani, as it exists now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make that, because when it gets more global, I think
No, I
it
made
just
that very
changes.
clear. That's what the article's gonna say.
The picture up there that you saw isn't happening. That was focusing on the activity of what the article was, the word vendor, and relationship to the Camp Kawani position. The trustees, you could take that picture, and I could take the Memorial Field trustees and do the same type of thing there with whatever tasks and responsibilities they have, and
So
plug it
that
into
one
the.
standing as it is will just go away?
Exactly, exactly. It'd be merged part of it. So,
It's all away.
so no, we're keeping the article
Yeah.
on this, folks, right? So I'm gonna call, a motion has been made and seconded by Mr. Young. Motion's been made by Mr. Scott, has been seconded. All those in favor of this article, rewording of the language to fund this position?
I'm abstaining.
4-0, one abstention, Mary.
Minimal comments on
It's over.
All right.
Can I say
Who
one
want-
thing, Mr. Selectman?
Sure.
I was Tricia Dransfield, George Street. I was on the rec commission for 5 months, and I came with hopes and dreams, and things have happened, and I've heard 4 times tonight, there is no rec commission.
No, there is a recognition, there's just no
In
members.
limbo. Not really a choice that I wanted to make, but I felt I wasn't being effective. And on the slideshow, it said, new Recreation Commission will work with the town administrator
Right.
over policies and procedures. And we had 3 meetings where the town administrator was gonna come and help us with those, and he was not able to do that.
Was this during the investigation, Miss? If it was, that might be, I know for a fact,
Oh.
Mr. Hickey, would I be correct in saying, did Mr. McHugh meet with you on several occasions on what to do and so forth on some items regarding Kim Kwani?
On different issues, yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and I believe I understand the question that this individual is asking.
Tricia Dransfield.
I'm sorry, Tricia.
Thank you.
And I do recognize you, I don't look at the vice person, but I apologize. I will say that, and I believe Mrs. Solana can confirm this, that I had been in constant contact. I had had a lot of back and forths in terms of giving my review, my recommendations, my edits or what have you to.
The new policy.
Yes, exactly, and I believe that's what she's referring to.
Yes.
So hopefully the board did, I believe the board did, accept most of what I had written.
Yep.
Not all of it, because obviously they were just recommendations, but certainly I was involved in that conversation on several different levels, absent the one meeting that I was not able to attend.
But you said your revision, or you
Yes,
are.
yes, thank you for that.
So ladies and gentlemen, in order to make the change, we have to open up the warrant, okay? So, I don't want anybody to leave yet, okay? So I would. So I would entertain a motion to open up the special town meeting warrant.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye? Okay. I would like to formally bring back the vote to which we discussed in the language change for Article 21 as read by Mr. Young. All those in favor? Aye. One abstention, I take it, sir? Or did you
No,
wanna
I'll vote for it.
All right. Donnie's changed his vote, 5-0. All right, and I also have to make a motion to the other article changes that we talked about, which was the following articles were incorporated into Article 2 on the supplemental budget. That's Article 6, 10, and 14. Article 6 being the FinCom stabilization. Article 10 was the police cruisers. And Article 14 was the tree warden, all to be rolled up into Article 2.
And then we can also vote to remove Articles 26
6 and 28.
Remove, oh, and remove and delete Articles 26 and 28, which was proposed by the school committee originally, right?
So
And-
moved.
How about the memorial?
And then, of course, moving Articles 20 through 28 that were originally under Article 18 in the matrix format, right?
We can just move that whole.
So we're gonna,
And
so,
change,
So moved.
at the same time, change memorial,
Second.
the memorial trustees to
let's do that,
appointed and
let's do that
elected.
next, I promise you,
Yeah,
okay?
all right.
All right, so motion has been made and seconded on those
Vote the
changes,
change in
Yeah.
source and water.
so we'll pick that up as a third one.
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. 5-0 on that, Mary. Mr. Young wants to make a motion on, it used to be Article 28, now it's Article 27. He wants to change the language on the, remember, after talking to the town clerk, he wanted to change the language. That was Article 27. Instead of saying dissolve Memorial Field trustees, we wanted to.
See if the town will, to see if the town will vote to direct the Board of Selectmen to petition the legislature to change the trustees Memorial Field from an elected to an appointed position.
positions by the Board of Selectmen.
By the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Second.
And it's still gonna be Memorial Field.
It will still be Memorial Field, sir, yes.
Memorial, Board of Memorial Field Trustees.
So motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye, 5-0 on that one. And then Kenny,
I'd like to make a motion to change the source of funding for Article 15, 17, and 29 from water, mine's cut off, it just says water water surplus to water revenue, from water, oh, that was a T. Article 17, water. It's cut off.
it says water revenue.
Water revenue.
Yeah, it's gonna
Okay,
go to
Article
water
17, the
revenue.
source will be water revenue.
Right. So
Article
moved.
29 will be
Article-
retained earnings.
Yeah, Article 17 here says free cash, Mary, is that right? No? No, that's his water truck. I do
Water's
have
down
it.
the bottom,
Yep,
just down the lines.
It's cut off.
So moved.
hold on.
Let's go.
So, motor vehicle exemptions, POW, ATV, accept them in jail, funds for disabilities, parks and fields membership.
Oh, God, you're gonna make it dig that out?
I don't see it on here, Steve. I don't see anything.
One on the bottom.
Yeah, that's what these are, right here. Where are they up in here?
Oh, right here, that's, water truck, see,
See,
mine's cut
Article
off.
15? Yeah, we'll put it
Article
on.
17, water truck, that was the word I was looking for.
The water truck?
Yeah.
It's now Article 14.
Oh, I see it,
It's
Brockton,
13 is the union contract will come from water revenues,
okay,
okay? And
Yep.
Article 15 is the new truck will come from water revenues.
I see it.
Okay.
And then Article 29, which is going to be,
That's for,
actually,
Camp
it's not,
Kawani,
that's the one.
that got moved to.
That's the one we just voted on.
Yeah.
That's the one,
Right.
for retained earnings, that Mr. Young proposed. Okay, so changes in the sources for Article 15 and 17.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Seconded?
Second.
Second by Mr. Young. All those in favor? 5-0, Mary.
We gotta close the warrant.
5-0, right? Bruce, I didn't see it. Okay.
Motion to close the warrant.
Motion has been made to close, whoop. Wait, hold on, let me get a second, Mariah. I promise we'll go back to your discussion.
Second.
Motion's seconded, discussion. Mariah?
Okay. Article 25, one member of the Board of Selectmen may serve as member of Parks and Fields Commission. Would that possibly roll over if recreation was reorganized? And if there's a selectman on that, why isn't there one on Water Commission and appeals?
Well, I think that Water Commission is an elected position, so I don't think you can assign it from this
Like
way
Board
to
of
do.
Appeals or things.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering why it's recreation is.
I think recreation, this was done because Kenny Mitchell was part of that group, was part of that, representing on that field, and it would have been a conflict had he had stayed. So we've basically asked if we can assign a Board of Selectmen membership to Parks and Fields, but if you see fit to have some other department that way, Mariah, whatever other department you,
It just seems like it should be all or nothing.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, there should be selectmen sitting on other subcommittees then.
Well, there is, for the open space is me, and then.
You vote?
On that one, yes, I do.
Then why can't he vote?
I don't think it's done Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, see, the bylaws are different in every committee.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go to each committee and change it and create that article for each one. Yeah, I was the former chairman of Parks and Fields, but once my term expired, I couldn't be because Parks and Fields, right, I can't be appointed by the board because I'm a selectman. So that's why that changed, because I'd like to stay on and continue to do good things with Parks and Fields, so that's why we're doing that.
Kenny
But
donates a
that's
lot
a
of them all.
great question, though. Yeah.
So we gotta keep him for this one. Somebody has a question over here.
John presenting on the street, but wasn't the reason for that one article was to allow him to vote?
Correct.
On this
They'll also
committee?
allow me to vote.
Also allow them to vote.
Right now, I'm just a liaison. I can't vote on anything.
But if maybe that part in there should be put in, so that people know why this particular article is there.
We'll explain it. So you want to change the language to it?
No, it would be in the explanation. It doesn't need to be
Okay.
part of the
Okay.
article. It would be a part of the explanation that was presented to
John,
the
that's a
meeting.
great point.
So we don't have to, it's a good point. We'll make sure that the explanation is clear.
And I guess, Mr. Chairman, one of the current concerns would be that we're doing this just specifically for this particular selectman. It is not. The motion would read to allow the Board of Selectmen to appoint a member, may appoint a member, doesn't need to appoint a member, but may appoint a member of its board to serve in that capacity on that particular appointed board. It's not for Ken. It's for going forward for the Board of Selectmen if there's some member of that board who wishes to serve and be a voting member. So that's why that's not in the motion itself.
Did we vote to close the warrant?
Yeah, well, you've
No,
got
yeah,
a
so
motion.
we can-
Motion's been
we just
made,
gotta vote.
now seconded. Okay, motion has been made and seconded to close the warrant. All those in favor? Aye? 5-0 to close, Mary. Moving on to,
Could I say
what's that?
something, Jim?
yes, positively. Yes. Could somebody turn on the lights up there, please? Thank you.
I know
Mr.
this isn't on the, I know this isn't on the
Is it
agenda,
relevant? Please be.
but being a water commissioner for the town of Hanson, I have to apologize, but I am the chairman, and I've been through hell the last 5 months because of the water that we received from Brockton and the conditions that everything was happening. And I'm working with the other commissioners, and I'll never have Hanson do that again. And what I'm trying to do now is to do another water tank behind the one that's up there now, another 1 million gallon water tank that'll be paid for through water revenue. It won't affect any tax money of all, of anybody. But in such time that it comes that you have to operate on 1 million gallons of water, you'll be able to shut down one tank and operate off the other. Plus the fact, the way the gates are set up in the town of Hanson, it's very hard to clean or flush the water mains because you can't control the water in the water pipes. Instead of putting 3 gates in intersections on roads, they would put in a tap and sleeve that's only 1 gate, just to shut off that one street. What I mean is when you're flushing a water main, you have to do it in a straight line with nothing feeding into it or out of it. And that's in the process of being changed also. I hope I live long enough, but.
Mr. Howard, we'll put that under the pond
I
committee
just want to
report.
make sure the residents understand that the water in Hanson is completely safe. I don't know how the residents are working on it now, and we haven't had too many residents call up and complain about the water, but I hope my water has changed differently. It's a lot better. So I just hope everybody else's is. And if you do have any problem, please call the water department, and they will try to rectify the problem, all right?
We'll group that item under the water revenue article, Mary, okay? So that's why it's relevant. We've got you covered, all right, brother? Okay? So we're good there. Honestly, folks, I want to thank you all for coming, and I appreciate it, but we all got to remember, I know some of you may not agree with the positions that were presented here, or even, I don't know, understand it, but you got to understand that we're trying to do the best we can. I honestly can speak for myself personally, and I know these members too. We're doing the best we can. Nobody's trying to bamboozle you. Nobody's trying to do away with anything. I have heard a lot of the importance on the Recreation Commission. I talked to Mr. Blouse, and one of the questions I had was, when it said save Camp Kawani, save Recreation Commission, save Camp, what are we saving it from? And he made it clear that, it's been a lot of weddings and functions, paying functions that take away from the townspeople, right? In terms of having our kids do plays or run drama clubs or any events like Hanson had Taste up there. I understand that. And I don't think there's anybody here in this room or on this board that would say take away from that, honestly, okay? So that's all I had. I hope everybody's, if you have further questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call, all right? All right, moving on to committee reports. The Monpont Pond Committee, under Mr. Howard.
Oh, again?
Yes, sir.
I went to a meeting last week, and they had a good
It's okay.
meeting of a presentation of solar beads possibly put in Westmont Ponset Pond. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to happen for the simple reason Brockton still doesn't want to contribute any money to Halifax or Hanson, who is trying to clean the pond so they can take the water. I don't think they'd work personally anyway because of the depth of the pond and the way they operate.
Okay.
Want me to start over?
Please try to be quiet, Mr. Howard.
No, I'll start over.
Okay.
No, the meeting was held last week in Halifax, and there was a presentation of a solar bee. What it does is it works off solar power, and there's a pump in it, and it turbulates the water from the bottom to the top to try to get the cyanobacteria to the point where it doesn't migrate. And Halifax and Hanson over the past years, well, 4 years that I know of particular, they've been trying to clean Westmont Ponset Pond so Brockton can take the water. And it's our tax money that's been paying for it, and Brockton doesn't contribute a cent. And it's a pathetic thing. And Brockton says they have no problems with water. Silver Lake is down 5 feet now, and it's still dropping. And I noticed it was last week and this week, there's been some articles in there on Brockton. They finally put a restriction on their water in Brockton. It's the first time they've ever done it. But they forgot a town of Whitman. Now, town of Whitman is also supplied by water from Brockton. And I don't see any restrictions on the town of Whitman. So my next meeting that we have with the Central Plymouth County Water Division, I'm going to ask that point, if Brockton puts a water on, a restriction on it, how come Whitman doesn't get a restriction on it? So
was there a question to Mr. Howard?
Oh, they did?
They did.
Was it in the Enterprise? Okay, I'm sorry. But it's the first time that I know of that Brockton has put a restriction on it also.
They still use A1.
Yes, they do.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. No, I didn't know that, Tracy.
Tracy, next time.
All right,
please
that's
stand
all I
up.
have.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Howard. I appreciate that. Everybody set. Moving on to Indian Head and McQuon Priority Repair Committee.
I was reminded by Mariah that we need to call a meeting of the Indian Head and McQuon School Priority Repair Committee to go over those items that the school has requested beyond the town warrant.
Article 18.
Article 18, and we will be holding a meeting to go over those items with Mr. Sandland and Mr. Hayes, who is also a member of the Priority Repair Committee. And keep in mind, we also have Mr. Jones and Mr. Chris Howard, who are also members of that committee, that are also members of the school committee and members of the facilities committee. So it,
Mike Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll be going over those and making recommendations to the town meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Young. What about the McQuon roof? How are we doing on that? It's all done over the CAF and, right, the gym? But we're working to get a schedule, I think, ready on the other parts.
On the other parts,
Right,
yeah.
yeah. Which will also be discussed, I imagine, at the prior meeting.
Yes, we'll need to discuss those too, because I'm sure that the committee members were not aware of that.
Okay. Thank you. Next item I have is the Highway Building Committee. Mr. Scott.
We haven't had a meeting since I last reported, Mr. Chairman. Our next meeting is next week on September 12th.
Where is that, Bill? Is it in the police?
Highway Barn
Highway Barn.
at 5 p.m. Open to the public. Anyone is welcome.
Thank you, Bill. All right, and with that, I think we bring to a conclusion Tuesday, September 6th, Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made to
Second.
adjourn. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.